You don't certify anyone dead until the heart stops beating. So you can reach out to friends and colleagues, tell them we have started, they should join the Zoom link, and they can also link up and listen via YouTube. Once again, you're welcome. In the next 4 to 5 minutes, we will start what we have for us today. Thank you, everyone. You're welcome. And again, the meeting will be recorded. We will send the recorded version to us, and we will also send the YouTube version. Once we finish, we'll send it to the WhatsApp link, the WhatsApp platform that have been created for this particular, program. It is an hour with the cardiologist. Thank you very much. You're welcome. So just give us a few minutes. Let's allow others to come in, and we will start in earnest. So while we are waiting for some others to come in before starting, if you don't mind, you can let us know where you are listening to us from, where you're joining from. You can just write Lagos, Abuja, Kaduna, Rivers State, South Africa, US, UK, Canada, Australia, wherever you're listening, wherever you're joining us from. If you don't mind, you can put it on the chat box. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. The YouTube link has been posted. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much. Sama. So you can send the YouTube link to colleagues and friends as well, those that we have invited, so that they will also be part of the meeting. We will be starting very soon. Let's just allow others, let's wait for others to come in. We'll do our best. I'll do my best to make it as brief as possible today, so that we can have more time for interaction, especially because it's World Earth Day. So we will not limit ourselves to what we'll be considering today. We will also talk about the theme of the World Earth Day, which is don't miss a beat. Don't miss a beat. Every beat is important. Every beat is vital. And we've got to care for the heart so that it can beat normally, beat appropriately, and deliver quality to us. You remember the scripture says, guard your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. So let's do our best to care for our hearts as much as possible. Right, I think we can start now. It's 9 minutes after 7. And so welcome once again to today's edition of An Hour with the Cardiologist, the 28th day of September 2025, a day to the World Earth Day celebration, which is 2020, which is 29th. So you're welcome once again to An Hour with the Cardiologist. We're excited having you here today, and we believe that it will be as informative, interactive, and engaging as usual. You're very much welcome. 28th day of September 2025. Tomorrow will be the world will be celebrating the World Earth Day. We're using this as our own contribution, to sensitize and to encourage every one of us to take care of our hearts. And I want to believe that we will get value for the time we'll be sharing together. I'm not alone. There are other cardiologists on the platform. Dr. Baileys is around. Dr. Adekolade is around. Dr. Akeredolu is around. Want to welcome everyone. I want to welcome all our esteemed people. Everyone, you're special to us. Thank you for sharing your time with us. All medical personnel here, all nurses, all paramedics, everyone, all professionals, everybody, you're welcome. We value you. We appreciate you very, very much. All right. So we will be looking at hypertension beyond the numbers, part 4. We've looked at part 1, 2, 3. We will be looking at part 4 today. And when we finish, we will consider very briefly the theme for the World Earth Day, which is tomorrow. Don't miss a beat. So let's go into it now. Hypertension beyond the numbers, part 4. I'm Akinsanya Olusegun Joseph. So we've looked at introduction, we have looked at risk factors behind the numbers, we've looked at clinical features of hypertension, companions of hypertension, complications of hypertension, control of hypertension is what we'll be looking at today. Last time that we met, we considered non-pharmacological control. Today, we will press on the control of hypertension, the management of hypertension. And we'll be looking at the pharmacological aspect. So control of hypertension can be achieved via through route or through methods. Non-pharmacological management, which we considered in the part 3. It's on YouTube, so you can, do well to check it up. If you type An Hour with the Cardiologist, I'm sure it will bring up the page, and then you can click part 3 and listen. All right. So we won't go much into that today. And then the pharmacological management. All right. It's the pharmacological management that we'll be looking at today. And the goals of management includes to control the blood pressure, to prevent hypertension-mediated organ damage, to treat other cardiovascular risk factors, to prevent cardiovascular events like stroke, heart attack, kidney failure, and the rest, peripheral arterial disease, and then to protect the vital organs. We looked at this the last time we met, that hypertension does not work alone, and hypertension impacts on the organs. All right, there's what we call hypertension-mediated organ damage. Cardiomegaly simply means enlargement of the heart. The kidneys can begin to leak protein. All right, and when that continues, it can bring a huge problem to the body. There can be, problem with the eyes, retinopathy, and hypertension can eventually lead to blindness and then atherosclerosis. So as the hypertension-mediated organ damage continues, cardiovascular events begin to occur if nothing is done. All right, so stroke can come in, the patient can suffer heart attack, heart failure, can, creep in. The patient can, suffer kidney, disease, can have kidney disease, and eventually go into kidney failure. There can be sudden cardiac death, all right? And of course, there can be blindness as well. So we're going to look at pharmacological management today. And as much as possible, we're just going to give us principles that will aid us, in better managing um, hypertension. So pharmacological management, okay, there are many drugs that are effective in the management of hypertension. However, I will not be mentioning names. Okay, so it's above the scope of this meeting, to mention names because we do not want to, encourage self-medication. So we're just going to look at the principles. All right. We will not mention the drugs specifically by name. I'm sure that if you are hypertensive, I'm sure that you will know the names of the drugs that you are on. And if you are listening to us and for any reason you don't know the names of your drugs, please get back to your doctor or change that doctor. I'm not a fan. I don't advocate in any way that somebody should take drugs that, is blinded and they just give it to you and say, go and use it. It will control your blood pressure. You have the right, you need to know the drugs that you are taking, that you need, that you'll be taking. Okay, very, very important. So, we take, people up on that. You cannot give drugs to people without letting them know the names. Okay, so if you're giving any drug and you don't know the name, don't collect it from that doctor. You have the right to know the names of the medic. You are the one that will take the drugs. So if anything happens, you should be able to say, oh, this is what I took, this is what I took. Not, I took one white drug, I took one yellow and black. No, there are so many yellow and black drugs, so many yellow and black capsules, so many red and purple, drug and things like that. So you've got to know the names of your drugs. Okay, but for the purpose of this meeting, I will deliberately not mention names except the need, arises maybe during interactive session, question and answer. You want to ask a question about the drug you are taking, then we will, help out. So meet with your physician or cardiologist for effective drug management and take the medications as prescribed. All right. Importance of treatment. It leads to control of blood pressure. One of the major reasons why blood pressure is not controlled is when people don't treat it, when they don't treat it appropriately, and when people don't use their drugs. We're going to, deal with all of this as we go on. Prevents development of complications, prevents and slows down disease progression. So if the patient comes in already, with cardiomegaly or has, features of um, ischemic, what we call ischemic heart disease, reduced blood flow to the heart. Because we are meeting that patient at that point, we don't want the patient to progress from that reduced blood supply to that part of the heart to, heart attack. We don't want a progression of the disease. So we start medication. Prevent risk of hospitalization and re-hospitalization. If the blood pressure is not controlled by the use of appropriate, drugs and, management guidelines, it's a matter of time the person will be admitted. That's a natural pathway. I think it was last year we dealt with we talked on the topic, the cardiovascular continuum. You can search it out among the YouTube, recordings that we've done. I think we did three parts. I mean, three parts. Yes, part one, part two, part three. You can go through it. Cardiovascular disease starts in a very innocuous way, more often than not. But if nothing is done, it will progress until it gets to end stage. So the person that is, suffering heart failure today, that is battling with heart failure today, possibly started with just hypertension, but wasn't well managed, diabetes that wasn't well managed, and things like that. And then there's progression. The person eventually gets admitted. One of the importance and the goals of treatment is to prevent hospitalization. And if somebody has been hospitalized before, we don't want the person to get re-hospitalized. So we want to manage the person appropriately so that there will be no need for re-hospitalization. And I'm sure that on this platform you would have seen, you are likely to know one person or the other who's been admitted, into the hospital as a result of hypertension related illnesses, or who have been admitted several times. And then, you know, it becomes a real burden. Of course, the other importance of treatment is to reduce the risk of mortality. Eventually, if nothing is done, the person can, succumb. And I'm sure that on this platform, if not every one of us, most of us will, you know, can talk about one person or the other that we know that passed on as a result of hypertension related, complications. And these things are preventable, largely preventable. So we want to reduce the risk of mortality and, by so doing, prolong, life, okay, and then also the person to have very good quality of life. With each 20 over 10 millimeter mercury increase in blood pressure, cardiovascular mortality risk doubles. So if the blood pressure rises from 115 over 75 to 135 over 85, the risk of dying doubles. By the time it gets to 155 over 95, the risk quadruples and on like that. So the relative risk of death double as blood pressure increases 20 over 10 millimeter mercury. For every 20 over 10 millimeter mercury, the risk of dying increases. That's why we're not just looking at the numbers, we're also looking at the repercussion. We're looking at things that can happen. Sometimes we get more scared than the patient is himself or herself. I mean, I've had patients, and I'm sure that the cardiologist on this platform can attest to it. There are patients that you check their blood pressure is 210 over 120. I say, what? You can't go home today. We have to admit you. We have to try and reduce the blood pressure gradually and things like that. And the person will look at you. What are you talking about? I drove down here. There's nothing wrong with me. I am going home. But we know that the risk of that person dropping dead is very, very high. And I'm sure that, most of us have also, been exposed or aware of, such stories like this. Oh, he was driving and they met him or her in the car dead. Or a board meeting was going on and, lo and behold, the person was, had died and nobody knew. And things like that. Oh, he was, was just climbing the staircase and, things like that. Sudden death. We want to prevent it as much as possible. That's why, treatment is important. So if we reverse it, for every 20 over 10 millimeter mercury decrease in blood pressure, getting it towards goal, getting it towards control, you reduce the risk of dying, times two. All right. You reduce it, you double the risk of, longevity of staying alive for that person. That is extremely important. That's why people should not joke with their blood pressure. If you're hypertensive, please don't joke with it. There are people that say, "Oh, I know when my blood pressure is high. When I have a headache, when this part of my body is paining me, when my ear is doing when this is happening, when that is happening." Before you begin to have symptoms, a lot of damages would have been going on. And please don't rely on symptoms because it may not come sometimes. That's why it's called the silent killer. It's a silent killer. So please, it's important that, medications are taken as a when due. Benefits of drug therapy: reduction of blood pressure by 5 millimeter mercury can decrease the risk of stroke by 34%, the risk of ischemic heart disease by 21%, the risk of dementia by 25%, the risk of heart failure by 45 to 50%, and overall, the risk of mortality from cardiovascular disease, all right, by more than 40%. It's important that we know this. The person who refuses to take his or her medications has just chosen a different pathway that it can cause problems. So please let us make sure that we deal with this. Take your drugs, please, if you are hypertensive. Very, very important. Take care of your heart. Every beat counts. Don't let your heart beat with strain. Don't let it struggle to beat. Every beat counts. The danger of non-adherence to medications. I want to deal with this because it's extremely important. We see it many times. People say, "Oh, I just stopped taking my drugs." Oh, I just, I'm just tired. I don't have any symptoms. The blood pressure is controlled, so I just feel that I shouldn't take. If you don't take your drugs regularly, treatment failure is inevitable. You will not be able to get to goal. The blood pressure will be fluctuating or remain permanently high. And when it is high, remember, for every 20 over 10 millimeter mercury increase, there is, the risk of that, the risk of dying doubles. We do not want that. So treatment failures, okay, increases rate of hospitalization. Those who don't take their drugs regularly, look, one of the risk factors for cardiovascular disease is poor drug adherence or non-drug adherence. If somebody refuses to take the drugs to control the blood pressure, if it's diabetes, to control the blood sugar, to control any of the cardiovascular risk factors, disease risk factors, the inevitable thing is hospitalization. And that is if the person actually gets the chance to be hospitalized, because sudden death can come knocking. Now, this is not to scare anybody. It is real. All right. It is real. We see it. We hear it every time. And we don't want it. We can stop it. All right. So increase the rate of hospitalization, increases the chances of complications, the strokes, the heart attack, the heart failure, the blindness and co, leads to premature aging. I'm sure you have seen people that if they tell you their age, you ask them again. No, I'm saying, what I'm asking, how old are you, sir? How old are you, ma? We see it a lot in clinic, you know, and someone will say, "Oh, I'm 65 years old," and it looks like an 80-year-old, with all due respect. And you're like, really? Wow. This thing has taken a great toll on you. Premature aging. We also don't want that. And of course, very linked to that is premature death. I mean, Hypertension claims life. 45 years old, 38 years old. I once had a patient um, more than 15 years ago now, a very young man, 25 years old. I can't forget him. He kept, yeah, and this was a failure of the system. The medical profession failed this man. Okay, this young man. He kept going to chemists. Well, unfortunately, he wasn't going to the right place as well. He would go to chemists, always having headache and feeling weak, and they were always treating little malaria, little typhoid, always giving him until he began to breathe very heavily. So they rushed him to Luf. All right. And by the time he presented, he already had heart failure and he had, kidney disease as well. I mean, end stage. He had to go through dialysis about 10 times before we eventually discharged him. And then, and he had a very supportive family. All right. Not only that, if you see him well built, had no reason to go through that turbulent pathway. Very handsome, very well built chap, and very, very nice, young man with lots of courtesy. And 2 weeks discharge, after discharging him, I saw the brother-in-law who was, I mean, very fantastic brother-in-law, took over the responsibility of his, admission and everything. And I asked, oh, I so. I said, oh, doctor, you people, you tried. Thank you very much. You really tried. We lost him last week. It just shattered my day. 25 years old. What was he doing with that? It wasn't managed properly. Unfortunately, his own was not non-adherence, but they is still, in that pathway. The drugs that he needed were not available to him because unfortunately he went to the wrong people. And please, this is also by the way to let us know, don't just go to anywhere, please. You're having a headache, you're saying, oh, I have had people who say that their only problem is typhoid and malaria. What did you do with typhoid? What crime have you committed against typhoid and malaria? Please check your blood pressure. And if there's anything suggestive of, it being elevated, don't live in denial. Meet with doctors, meet with, people who can help to prevent premature death. All right. Reasons for non-adherence, side effects. People, before you give drugs to patients, the first thing they're asking is, was there any side effect? Let me tell us clearly now that every drug has side effect, and I mean every drug. So if you're looking for a drug that does not have side effect, that has not been made. Paracetamol has side effects, and I'm sure that most of us on this platform would have taken it at one time or the other. Vitamin C has side effect. Bico has side effect. All drugs, multivit, everyone name it. All drugs have side effects, but they can be managed, and it's not all the side effects that that present or manifest in everybody. Because I mean, this is science. If any side effect is reported in anybody, you have to put it down, because even if it's 0.1% of the population that were screened or tested with the drug, that 0.1% in that place will be found somewhere else in the world. So they need to pen it down. But may I tell you that most of the drugs that we use now are very, very much safe. And if you have issues with any of them, report back to your doctor, who will, change the drug for you or assess things for you, and that'll be. Some, don't take their drugs because of polypharmacy. The drugs are too much. Now, let me just quickly address that. Sometimes, more often than not, hypertension is not controlled by a single drug. More often than not, it's a disease that encourages polypharmacy. You know why? There are many pathways to hypertension. Okay, many what we call pathophysiology. Okay, there are many pathways to it, and those drugs are meant to checkmate those pathways. It's like a house. In a house, there are many rooms. Those rooms have their different keys. So, also, it's like a market. A market, they say that no way leads to a market. If you want to lock the market, you have to go to all the entry points into the market. That is the same way hypertension operates. Many, you know, pathophysiology to developing it. And those are the things that the drugs target to help bring down the blood pressure. Not only that, hypertension does not work alone. So sometimes the dyslipidemia will be there, that's high cholesterol, and we need to deal with that as well. We need to treat it. Diabetes may be there, we need to treat it. The patient may have, suffered one complication or the other that will warrant the need of another drug. We need to put it there. So polypharmacy, yes, we don't really want it, but more hypertension is a disease that encourages polypharmacy. Even if you look at the guidelines, very, very few people will be controlled with one single drug. But one of the ways by which medical science and the pharmaceutical space have tried to deal with it is to get, to make drugs that contain different drugs. So one tablet containing different drugs. So we call it single combination pills. All right. One tablet containing 3 drugs, for example, one tablet containing 2 drugs. So by so doing, the pill burden is reduced. But if you say that, oh, the drugs are, just ask your doctor, why am I using this? Why am I using this? Why am I using that? The doctor should be able to tell you, oh, I'm giving you this because of this. I'm giving you this because of this. All our patients deserve to know while they are on one drug or the other. And all the doctors on this platform, the cardiologists on this platform, I give it to all of them. We explain to our patients. We are not doing trial and error. No, it's not a yoje, excuse my Yoruba. All right. We are targeting things. It's precision medicine. The other reason for non-adherence is non-affordability and then no access, especially in this you know um, economic climb that we are facing currently in Nigeria, and we're hoping that it will ease off very soon so that people will be able to afford and the drugs will be accessible. All right, but if you cannot afford the drug, tell your doctor we give you something cheaper. Prescribe a brand name that is cheaper, and we still be able to do the job. All right. If you don't have access to a drug, don't just say I can't find the drug, I'm not taking it. No, you will not be helping yourself by doing that. Get back to your doctor. This drug I cannot find it. Can I get a replacement? Okay, then some people, because no change in health status, they say, oh, I've been taking this drug, it's not controlling my blood pressure. What's the use? The use is that you should get back to your doctor and tell him, these drugs are not controlling my blood pressure. Please give me things that will work. And if the doctor cannot do it for you, cannot help you, get to another doctor. Go see a specialist, please. It is your health we're talking about. Okay? It is your health. Then forgetfulness sometimes. All right? And we'll deal with that in the course of this meeting. And then neglect. Some people just neglect. And then some people, they live in denial. No, it's not my portion. I can't have it. It's nobody's portion. But the Bible has given you the responsibility to take care of your heart. Guide thy heart. Keep thy heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. God will not come and do for you what you can do for yourself, please. Let us take our drugs. Let us, take ownership. You are the first, stakeholder. Please use your drugs. And then some people will say, oh, I have my clinic on Friday. The drug runs out tomorrow. I will wait. I don't know whether my doctor is going to change the drug. So for the next 4 days, they will not take any drug. And then they will come to the clinic. Blood pressure is 195, 185 over 100 or over 110. No. If you're going to buy one sachet that will last you till that day, go and buy it and make sure that you keep taking the drugs until you see your doctor. Because once you stop
using the drug, it's a matter of time the blood pressure will start going up. Somebody has once asked me, why is it that one has to keep using the drugs? That if you don't use it, the blood pressure will go up. This was the way I answered the person. I said, okay, fine. I mean, I know he's into building and things like that, and house construction and things. And I said, if you put on the AC and the room becomes cool, you say, okay, now the room is cool. If you go and put it off, will the room remain cool? He said, no. He said, that's exactly what it is. The room is cool because the AC is on. If the actions of the drugs remain on by you taking your drugs, the blood pressure will be controlled. If you switch off, just the way you switch off the AC, the drugs will not work again. The room will not get cold again or get cool again. The same thing, the drugs will not work. So please, I know it's a lot of burden, but trust me, you have all our goodwill. Okay, and we praise you if you are taking drugs. Please just try encourage yourself, because this is about you, and it's also about your loved ones. We don't want to lose people, to avoidable deaths. And you're like, oh my God. And once somebody is taken out of a family, the dynamics of that family changes greatly, greatly. If we can prevent it, let's do. All right, so tips to improve adherence to medication. I will rush a bit so that we can have time for questions, answers, and interaction. And then of course the other cardiologists on the platform will also be able to share their own experience. So number one, take your medication at a specific time as much as possible. All right. If it's morning, take it in the morning. If you can have a specific time for it, do. It will help you to adhere to the medication. Number two, tie it to an activity. So I tell people, you can if you take your breakfast every day, you don't skip. Put your drugs beside you before you start eating. Put it beside you. Let it be a part of your breakfast. That if you don't take your drug, you have not completed your breakfast. If you tie it to an activity, it will be very, very easy to remember to take the drugs. If yours is in the afternoon and you take your lunch every day, make sure you are with the drug when you want to take your lunch. If yours is in the night, tie it to your dinner. Tie it to an activity. If you don't take breakfast before you go to work and you have a drug you need to take in the morning, you can do this. The first thing you do when you get to the office, before you start opening the files, before you start answering anybody, I'm going to take my drug. If you do that, the chances of forgetting will be very, 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 very minimal. Then you can set an alarm to remind you of the time to take the drugs. Can set an alarm if you have so busy a period, and you know that, oh, you can forget and you have not been able to tie it to any activity. Then set an alarm. I know that once the alarm goes off by 9 a.m., I know that I need to take my drug. I'll suspend everything I'm doing. I need to take my drug. That will help you very much. Have the drugs well sorted out in different containers varying days of the week. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, at the beginning of the week, you can put the all week supply. So like Sunday now, you put everything. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, put it in those containers. And every day you'll be taking, so that it's not a matter of, oh, have I taken my drug? Have I not? Just go and check the container, the Monday slot. If the drugs are still there, then you know that you have not taken the drug. If the AM, if you take drugs AM and PM, if the AM is empty, then you know that you have taken it. Then you are waiting for the PM. So you can do that, it will help. Have a reward system. Reward yourself at the end of the week. If you are able to take the drugs daily as at when due, reward yourself, you know, and you know what you like, that is healthy. Reward yourself with it. All right. And then have an accountability partner who can remind you, cheer you on, and motivate you, encourage you to take your drugs. All right. Very, very important. So this is what I'm talking about. So you can see Sunday, Monday, AM, PM, Tuesday, AM, Tuesday, PM. You can see this person is already taking the Monday, PM, Sunday, PM. Okay. Now, Tuesday, Wednesday, AM, PM, Thursday, AM, PM, on and on. If you have such like this, and at the beginning of the week, you put all the drugs you need to take in each of the compartment, the chances of skipping or not remember, I don't know whether I've taken my drugs or not, will not be there. All you need to do is just to open that compartment. If the drugs are still there, then you have not taken the drug. Then make sure you just take immediately. Myths to avoid. Taking your drugs regularly will make your blood pressure eventually become lower than normal. This is not true. It's not true. What we do is to regulate the drug in such a way that it will just control your blood pressure without dropping it, without making it too low. And if your blood pressure is going too low, get back to your doctor. Oh, I'm recording 90/50. I'm recording 85. I'm feeling dizzy. The doctor will know what to do. Don't just There are people that say, oh, I was just feeling dizzy and I stopped everything. They're on 4 drugs, they stop everything. What do you expect? The blood pressure will go up. But if you tell your doctor that, oh, I don't understand, I feel that these drugs are getting too much, they're a bit much. I'm recording 90/40, over 55, over 60, 85 over the inch. Before you even finish talking, the doctor will ask you, what are the drugs that you are on? Okay, this particular drug, instead of 10 milligrams, take 5 milligrams. This one, instead of 12 milligrams, take 10 milligrams. This one, instead of 5 milligrams, takes 2.5 milligrams. We will reduce the dosage for you. All right. You do not need to take your drugs regularly. They can eventually damage your organs. This is very far from the truth. These drugs protect the organs. They are cardio protective. They are renal protective. They protect the heart. They protect the kidneys. They protect the brain. They protect the eyes because they will prevent complications. All right. So it's not the drugs that will damage the organs. It is the effect of the hypertension. There are a lot of people that look for side effects. They'll say, "Oh, my leg is scratching me. I think it's as a result of drug." No, let's not demonize these drugs. Most of these drugs are safe. Don't look for excuse. Hey, anything. Oh, I think it's the drug. I think no. If you are not sure, meet with your doctor. Let him clarify things for you. Okay, skip your drugs when the BP is normal. This is a recipe for complication because by the time you start skipping, the blood pressure will start going up. It's like the AC. When you put off the AC, the room becomes hot again. When you don't take your drugs, your body becomes hot. The blood pressure will heat up the body, make it uncomfortable for your heart, make it uncomfortable for the kidneys, for the brain, and all this, and all the vital organs. So please, let us take our drugs. These myths are not real. They are not true. Unfortunately, they have landed a lot of people in trouble and problem. Oh, they said some will say, "Oh, take your drugs once in a week." How will you ever attain good blood pressure control? It's not possible. It will not be possible. So please, let's take our drugs. Whatever you don't understand, get in touch with your doctor, and I'm sure your doctor will be able to clarify issues for you. This is the kind of blood pressure we don't want to see. 192/107. We don't want this. The organs of this man will be screaming. The heart will be crying. The kidneys will be screaming. The brain will be crying. The eyes will be weeping. We don't want this kind of blood pressure. Please, let's take our drugs. If you have issues, once again, get across to your doctor. This is the kind of blood pressure we want. 118/78, 120/70, and things like that. And so people, when they get 110/70, they say, is it not going too low? I decided that my blood pressure is too low. It's not low. It's not low, not to talk of too low. It's just the right blood pressure you should have. I mean, when patients come to me and say that, oh, they're getting, because they are used to 190/110, like that man. When their blood pressure eventually becomes controlled 120/70, they become afraid. They say, doctor, I don't understand though, my blood pressure is getting too low. I'm not taking my, and I say no. The first thing I ask is, so what's the blood pressure? They say 110/70. And then I just say, no, that's not low. That's just the normal blood pressure you should have. It's not low. 120/70, that's the normal. And then I tell them, look, my blood pressure is usually 105, and I'm not exaggerating. 105/65, sometimes 100/60/70. So if I get, I can't remember when I got over, one, they, I think a few weeks ago, after much, work and things like that, I think we had a medical outreach and things like that. And at the end of it, I checked my blood pressure when we got home, and I got 126/80. I said, no, this is not my blood pressure. Can you imagine? Said, no, this is not my blood pressure. And of course, by the next day, it had come back to where it used to be. So please, 110/70 is normal. It is not low. All right. In conclusion, hypertension is a challenging but very manageable condition. With good management, blood pressure control is possible and complications are largely preventable. The aim of all of this is to make sure that every beat of your heart is normal. Let it not beat under duress. Let it not, skip its beating. Every beat counts. Don't miss a beat. We'll stop here for today. Thank you very much. God bless you. So we will give room for questions, clarifications, and things like that. But before then, we'd like to give room for some of our cardiologists to just quickly say one thing or the other. And I want to start with my boss. My boss is here. We call her the Queen of the Heart. She's my mentor. She practically gave birth to me in cardiology. I'm talking about Professor Jane Ajuluchuku. So, host, can you please kindly help me unmute Prof. Ajuluchuku? Let us say something to us. Prof, I hope I delivered what you would have delivered, ma. You have the floor. You can unmute yourself, ma.
Okay.
We have other cardiologists, but please, Prof, must speak for.
Good evening,
Prof,
colleagues. Good evening, friends. For me, Professor Olusegun Joseph has told us a relationship with me, and I'm just here beaming. We don't use video, just very proud, listening to the lecture, enjoying it myself. It's very, very forthright and down to earth with very good language, very good lessons. I have not enjoyed a hypertension lecture like this for some time. It is also very beautiful to stay at the receiving end. So I have also, listened, and I really, really applaud the platform. I was just invited yesterday, so I don't really know the full makeup of everybody. But for me, this lecture is very timely and very well delivered. And I am just superbly proud of the presenter. And I have learned some tricks also, because it's not very easy to communicate to everybody or to lay people. And I picked up one or two little tricks too, because every day, we pledge that we are lifelong learners. And then I did some learning on this platform, and I know that many other people would have enjoyed being on this platform. Thank you for the opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma. I'm proud of you. Thank you so much. All right. So, Dr. Billy, please host, help us unmute Dr. Billy, and then Dr. Adekolade and Dr. Keredolu, so that they can just say one thing or the other before we go to the questions. I don't know whether Prof. is around. Yeah, good evening. You have the floor.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Ma. Good evening, Prof. Ajuluchuku. She's our mother. She's my very own dearly beloved mom, whom I've missed so much. I've not seen her in a while. I've been answering questions. There's been some questions online, so I've been answering them. Hopefully, I don't know, I've helped sort out some of the participants that asked the questions there. So as for me, I don't have any more contribution. Dr. Olusegun has said everything that has to be said. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Doc. Dr. Adekolade, do you have something to say to our audience? Host, help me unmute Ayodeji Stevens. That's the name he signed in with. Dr. Adekolade, you have the floor. Okay, if he's finding it difficult. Okay, go ahead. Good evening.
Good evening, everyone.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening, Prof. It's great to have you on this platform. Well, you said everything. And the need for our patients to be well treated targets cannot be overemphasized. And then, people are not being treated either because of patient denial or even doctors' inertia. I said too, every patient has the right to know what they're being given. Drugs are being handed to patients, they don't know what they're given. They just put in a white letter. And in this age, patient needs to know, you have the right to know what you're given. Thank you, sir. Everything is awesome.
Thank you very much, Doc. Thank you. Dr. Akeredolu, do you have anything to say? Please host, help me unmute Dr. Akeredolu.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Prof.
Evening.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be on this, to be part of this meeting. I think Dr. Olusegun has given us everything we need to know. It's been well delivered. I think I don't have any more addition. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So please, if you have questions, you can raise your electronic hand so that we can quickly answer your questions. Those who have put questions on the chat box, Dr. Obieli has been busy helping to answer the questions. So if you have any other question, you can raise your electronic and the host will unmute you. We'll give you the opportunity to unmute. You have any question? Or if your question has not been addressed on the chat box, you can repost it or raise your electronic hand so that we can address the question. I'm not sure I can see any. Okay. All right. Okay. Host, please help us unmute Modukwe. After that, Felix Osioni. Then after that, Jumoke Odusami, sorry. So, yes, you have the floor, ma.
Okay. Good evening, Dr. Idiri. Thank you very much for your presentation. Good evening, everyone on the call today. I'd just like you to please help us to highlight the relationship between blood pressure and stroke. If you are not managing your blood pressure, is stroke one of the fallouts? What's the connect between the two? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Dr. Bieli, do you want to help us with that, please? Blood pressure and stroke. Host, kindly help us unmute Dr. Bieli. Blood pressure and stroke. And then kindly help unmute Prof permanently so that, at any time she can also contribute our wealth of experience on the platform, please. Prof, you can unmute so that you can, be part of the discussion. Dr. Billy, connection between stroke, blood pressure and stroke. Okay, Dr. Keredolu, maybe you should take it since your mic is on.
Okay. So basically, the relationship between blood pressure and stroke, if the blood pressure is very high, it can result in a stroke because that can affect the way. I don't want to go into a lot of So once the blood pressure is extremely high, it can cause a stroke, and likewise when it's too low, it can also result in a stroke. But the most common one that is commonly seen is the high blood pressure. So basically, when it's too high, it can result in a stroke. There are basically two types of stroke. There's the one that is due to there are two types, and there are other contributing factors. But basically, if you are looking at the blood pressure, if it's extremely high, and then if if it's very high, usually above 180, 200, 180 for the systolic, over 110, then it can, if it's persistently elevated, yes, it can result in a stroke. And if it's very low, it can also result in a stroke. The other contributing factor depending on the type of stroke, but those are the relationship that is common when it's extremely high and when it's very low.
Okay, thank you, Doc. So yeah, when it's extremely high, it can result in stroke. So the way it does it is, blood pressure over time weakens the blood vessel, muscle wall. It continually damages it, gets it weaker and weaker, so that over time the blood can actually burst. If the blood, ruptures, the person can have what we call hemorrhagic stroke. Blood will just flood the brain. That's hemorrhagic stroke. All right. The second one is that it can, with the, persistently elevated blood pressure, it can, lead to aggregation of what we call cholesterol, like, atherosclerosis in the blood vessels. So the blood vessel becomes laden with fats gradually, and then blocks off, the blood supply to that particular part of the brain. That's called ischemic stroke. Sometimes there can be what we call microclots, okay, as a result of the blood pressure and the cholesterol. They form clots, and that clots can move from one place to the other and block, the blood vessel around that area, and that will also result in a stroke. So that's the way, that's the link. Is like, when the pressure is too much, the blood vessel will just give up, just gape, and then, blood rushes into the brain, or it can get blocked because of its action with cholesterol, blocks the blood, the blood flow to that particular part of the brain, and then the person will have ischemic stroke. So ischemic and then hemorrhagic stroke. Thank you very much. I hope that answers your question. Felix Osioni, please, you can unmute.
Okay, good evening, Doc.
Good evening.
Thank you for the presentation. My question is around the root cause. I've read some books and I was told learned that blood pressure is caused by some activities or some root causes, right? So are there no drugs that target those root causes? If there are drugs, as quickly nicely answered by the doctor, if those root causes are treated, can't one stay off blood pressure drugs? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So there are risk factors. I think you may need to listen to the earlier editions, the part 3, the part 2, and the part 3. Okay. For example, sedentary lifestyle. If you start exercising, you get, busy with, increased physical activity and things like that. That can help. But there are also
factors that are beyond the will I call it the physical now? Okay, they are biological, so to speak. So, for example, we have what we call the sympathetic drive. All right, sympathetic drive can cause increase in heart rate, increase in blood pressure, if that person's sympathetic drive is continually high. All right, there's no way you can deal with it without giving a drug. You must give, the drug that can help to quieten that particular pathway, that particular route. The other thing, there's what we call the RAS system. These are not things that you just wake up and say, oh, let me take this food, let me take that food. Some of the things we treated in last edition, that's the non-pharmacological approach, will help, but they are not enough. Again, is like, if you have a very large living room, for example, and you get what do you call it, AC, 1 horsepower, it's not going to do anything. All right, so for you to get something that will be impactful, you may need to get a very big AC or get multiple ACs. The same thing. The lifestyle, very, very good. I mean, do this, don't do this, don't do very, very good. But sometimes they are not enough to deal with the blood pressure and control it. But if you don't complement your you're taking of drugs with the lifestyle, you may also have difficulty controlling your blood pressure. So they go hand in hand, both pharmacological and non-pharmacological management. That's why we say lifestyle is extremely important. Take time to listen to the penultimate presentation. That's part 3. We dealt with non-pharmacological stuff, and you will see that even with that, your blood pressure, ordinarily reducing your salt, all right, or losing 10 kg, all right, will drop your blood pressure, will reduce your blood pressure to an extent. But some of those pathways may still be active, and the drugs will be needed to control them. I hope that answers your question, sir. Next, Jumoke Odusami.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you for this opportunity to be educated about hypertension. Initially, I felt it was like a lot of bad news, but I realized that it's better to be educated about it than to be ignorant. So thank you very much for the wonderful presentation, Dr. Joseph.
Thank you.
Thank you. The question I want to ask has to do with bisoprolol. I don't understand its role, because at times when I want to take my medication, usually when I take the amlodipine, I use a smartwatch, and most times I check my heart rate, and when I feel my heart rate is low, I don't take the bisoprolol. And I think the reason I do that at times is because I don't have an understanding of its role, and so I feel if I have an understanding, that would help me greatly. If I can understand the role of bisoprolol and how it works, I think it would guide me.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, man. So bisoprolol is a beta blocker. We call it a beta blocker. All right. And beta blockers act best by reducing sympathetic drive. All right. The other, in answering the other man's question, I talked of sympathetic overdrive. Okay. So bisoprolol helps to regulate the sympathetic drive, okay, and block its overactivity. So what will it do? It will reduce your pulse rate, all right? It will reduce contractility of the heart. By so doing, it will reduce the blood pressure. It reduces pulse rate, it reduces contractility, all right? And once that is done, it reduces, blood pressure. Again, because sympathetic drive, when there's sympathetic drive, there is the tendency to have vasoconstriction. That's the blood vessel constricts and then becomes a bit tighter so that the blood pressure can go up. It also allows the blood pressure, the blood vessel, to dilate, to relax. That's the way I would do it. Say it relax to some extent, and that will also reduce the blood pressure. All right. So when you say that your pulse rate is low, I don't know what the you are getting, but normal pulse rate is between 60 and 100, 60 to 100 beats per minute. That is normal pulse rate. So if you are getting 62, 65 is not low, it is still within, the range. Thank you very much.
So sorry, so if I get 60, 65, I can still take my bisoprolol.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Okay.
Because
okay.
it's like a thermostat. It's the one that has gotten it to that point. And sometimes, more often than not, we give beta blockers to people when their heart rate is very high, or when they're having palpitation, or they are skipping a beat, like the World Heart Day. Every beat counts. Sometimes the heart begins to skip, and that makes people to feel their heartbeat. All right. Beta blockers are very, very apt in dealing with such. If you don't take it, what you will notice is that your heart starts racing again, your heart starts skipping again, and then you start feeling that palpitation. All right. So still take your drug, and if it's going below, then you can half it until call your doctor and let your doctor reduce it for you. But 65 is just good.
Right.
It's good. All right. You're welcome. You're welcome.
Sorry.
All right. Uche iPhone, please help us unmute Uche. Wow, we should apologize. We should have closed. Is an hour with the cardiologist. We usually close around 8:05 thereabout, but maybe, tomorrow is World Heart Day, and there are so many people that are still having their hands raised up. So we'll please bear with us for today. We're going to extend a bit. Let's take the questions of everyone. Yes, Uche iPhone, you have the floor.
Hello,
please.
good evening. Thank you very much for this very informative presentation. Mine is very simple. A situation where the systolic remains high, when I say high, between 150 and 170, and the diastolic remains normal most of the time. What could be the cause, and what is the solution, please?
Okay, fine. So that is usually seen in the elderly, more often than not in the elderly, and that's as a result of stiffness of the arteries. As one ages, the arteries become a bit stiff. They are not as pliable. They are not as elastic as they used to be, and that will cause blood pressure to be high. Whereas the recoiling of the heart is still very, very active, very, very good. So the diastolic will be normal. Should you take your drug or not? Please do, because there's something called isolated systolic hypertension. All right, it's commoner with the elderly, and it is as dangerous as having the two, components elevated. So please still take your drug. What people usually fear is that when the lower one drop very much, somehow God has made it in such a way that the lower one will cope. All right, will not drop excessively, but the one that is high, which is the upper one, will be controlled. So please still take your drug. You'll be fine, man. I hope that answers your question.
It does,
Margaret,
really. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. Margaret and Jayola, please help unmute Margaret. You have the floor, ma.
Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Yeah, my question is very simple. Thank you for the presentation. I want to ask, isn't there a kind of once and for all treatment for this, that once this you use this treatment, it will stop this hypertension thing, that you don't have to live perpetually on drug? Isn't there a treatment like that?
There's no treatment like that, and I'm not sure there will ever be. because of the multifactorial causes of hypertension. All right. And I made illustration of it. Is there any way by which you can have the room perpetually cool? If you put on the AC, yes, it will be cool. If you switch it off, if you say it's been cool now for 2 hours, let me switch off. The room over time will become, humid again, will become, hot again if you're in a hot zone and things like that. That's the way it is. And the same thing with those in temperate areas, because I know there's not only people living, in Nigeria that are listening to us. You're in the US, you're in the UK. If you put off your heater, it's just a matter of time that the place will become cold. That's the way hypertension is. Your drug is that AC that will make the place cool. Your drug is that heater that will prevent the cold, from adversely affecting you. All right. It's just the way nature is. Again, should we? I once spoke to a patient. I said, okay, fine. Let's look at it this way. Will you say that, oh, but I've been eating all the while since I was born? Now, can't I just eat once and then it will last me for the rest of my life? I don't need to eat again. I don't want to eat again. And it's not. That's not going to work. This is biology. This is the way God has made it. You have to eat. If you say, oh, I ate too much yesterday, I'm not going to eat for the next 1 week, your body will soon give you a sign that come, go and eat. Oh, otherwise, you are telling me to sign out. All right. So that is the way it is. Okay. We eat to keep renewing our energy. The same thing with the drugs. And that leads me to all this once and for all stuff that people talk about. It can cure this, it cures the hypertension, cures the arthritis, cures diabetes, cures this. It's a magic drug. It's a lie. We have a lot of them in the emergency. After they've taken all those things, they come back to us. We're the ones that will clean up the misinformation that they've swallowed. Unfortunately, the people that sold the drugs to them, they will not be there to treat them. They may not even be there to sympathize with them. And if they get to know about it, the worst thing they can do is to come to visit them in the hospital and say, oh, sorry. But the deed has been done. All those things is a lie, please. A big, big lie. And patients post these things to us and say, doctor, please help me look at this. Is it true? I just tell them fake news. Fake news. It's a lie, please.
On the YouTube recently.
Yeah, that's what we're saying. There's nothing like that once and for all. No. Nothing like that. Are you going to eat tonight and stop eating forever?
No.
Okay, fine. So that answers the question. Let me tell you this, man. Your just the way your food is to your body, all right? That is what the drugs are to your blood vessels and to your heart. So your drug is the food of your heart. If you don't feed it, just like somebody who refuses to eat. That's why when children are sick, even though they don't want to eat, we will look for something that they like. We'll make sure they eat because we know that for them not to eat, that is danger. If you're hypertensive, one of the food of your heart is your drug. If you don't take it, you're not feeding your heart, you're harming the heart. Thank you very much, man. Olubukola Olawi. You're welcome, man. Olubukola Olawi. Please help us unmute Olubukola Olawi.
Okay, good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Well done for your presentation. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay. I'm happy the way you address the issues under adherence. But I think the cardiologist, I don't know what you can do on your part, because we know that hypertension, no matter what we do, is one thing that is common among the black race, which we are one.
Yes, ma'am.
I know that something like the drug like amlodipine used to cost like 150, at a time 300 naira. Later it became 500 naira for a very long time. But do you know how much they sell amlodipine now? is almost 2,000 naira. And one of the things that can make a patient to adhere is the cost of that drug. You know, there are other factors that will make them not to take their drugs, but that's cash. You know, the way the economy is now in the country is so tough that it's making some of them not to comply with the use of their drugs. So I don't know what the cardiologists can do with the manufacturing company, especially the local ones. If they are producing this thing at home, I don't know, maybe it will still be that much expensive, because I'm sure greater percentage of the patients will be on, if they cannot afford other types of drug, antihypertensive drug, that amlodipine is just like, you know, they just take it like water. So that's one thing. Number two is, I think as a health worker, we need to do more. We need to do more in terms of educating these people. It's not just only for us to talk to them about use your drug, use your drug. We need to be able to support it with some theory. Theory like the health belief model, you know, is going to talk to them about the perceived susceptibility, perceived severity, and so on and so forth. If you don't take your drug, what are the consequences? We are not using it to, but there are occasions that you need to scare them so that they can use that drug. So another one is, I have somebody, a close relative. She wasn't hypertensive and she suffered a stroke, a very bad one. It was scary. Though I think there was a time she went to the market. They just called that, oh, she fainted. She went to one of the primary health care facility near her. They said her blood pressure was okay. So they just left her. Then I even said, oh, go to the hospital, maybe you'll be using vasopressor or something. But I think she didn't. So she suffered that thing the second time. And the third time, she developed this stroke. And she had all the investigation done. They said she is not hypertensive. She has even cholesterol done. And but with this, some of these symptoms, she eventually suffered stroke. So I don't know. That's why, you know, that's why I wrote in the box that is scary. So let's just see how the cardiologist one can address the issue of cost. Then the health worker, we need to change their attitude. Let these people be able to come to us, so that when they leave our place, somebody will not go, a lay person that does not even know anything about this will not be telling them what is not true, and they will also fall prey of accepting them like that. We need to be more acceptable. We need to get out of our comfort zone in the hospital and even start, you know, doing advocacy all over the place concerning hypertension, knowing the side effect of it. Thank you very much, sir, for the opportunity.
Okay, thank you very much, Ma. With regards to the cost of the drugs, we're engaging the government, the pharmaceutical body, the doctors, and things like that. It's real, and yes, I agree. It's quite challenging, and you know, it can make people not to be able to take their drugs. But this is where we have found ourselves. We hope that the economy will get better and that things will really, really unfold favorably for everybody. All right. With regards to stroke, yeah, so there are so many other things that can cause stroke. I think my colleagues have answered in the chat box. For the person you mentioned specifically who kept fainting and didn't have hypertension, I think the person should have seen a cardiologist. All right, that would have helped sort out things for her. So I think the learning point from what you have said here is not to just take things to chance. All right. If you have any issue, especially once it recurs, fainting is scary enough. You should go and see a specialist, not just a random doctor, or the doctor may not be able to precisely evaluate that person. And unfortunately, the person had it the second time. The person had
two opportunities to avert the stroke, but it unfortunately wasn't averted. It's very likely this person in question was having arrhythmia, what we call abnormal heartbeats. All right. And that leads us to the theme of the World Heart Day: don't miss a beat. Okay. All right, so the heart must have been beating irregularly, somewhat maybe, all right, or skipping and things like that, and eventually the person suffered a stroke. Again, like my colleagues wrote on the chat box, it could be as a result of increased cholesterol. The person may have subtle, maybe diabetes that was not diagnosed and things like that, But if those ones were not there, and he has been, she's been fainted twice, it's very likely that this person has been having arrhythmia, abnormal heartbeats that was unfortunately never diagnosed until the big one came. So, the lesson is, if you feel something that is unusual, get to the specialist. It's not enough to just go to one pharmacy or chemist. The pharmacists have their role, the chemists have their role, everybody have their role to play. But when your car develops a problem, you will not take it to a carpenter and say, should be all of them. They are skilled people. They have skill in there. No, the carpenter will not be able to deal with what your car can, the problem with your car. And if you have issues with the upholstery of your settee at home, you won't give it to a plumber. You will go look for a carpenter, an upholstery. The same thing we should do with our health. Go and meet the specialist. I hope that answers the question. Ma, sorry, it may be I hope it's not. I hope I'm not. I think our health are not explain things away. It's almost 8:30, but Alice has raised the hand for a while. Okay, this will be the last question, and then we will end. We'll end the meeting. Sorry, because of time, that's why I'm answering alone today. And I can see that in the chat box, a lot of the questions are being tackled by this. So, Alice, you have the floor. You can ask your question, and after that, I will hand over to my boss again, Papa to round up the program for today. It's a very big honor having her around with us. Yes, you have the floor, Alice.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, doctor.
Good evening.
Okay, my question is, sometimes when I go to bed, I feel this electric shock on my leg at midnight. When I wake up to ease myself, like don't they call it maja or so. So if I want to get up from my bed, I won't be able to put my foot on the floor. I'll be feeling so shocked, like until I hit it. And it's since last week, I've been feeling it like almost all night. And doctor, another question is it possible to check your blood pressure and it's still saying error? Like it's not coming up.
Yeah. Okay, so let me start with the last one. Error can be as a result of so many things. Number one, maybe the battery is low, the battery is down, so if the battery is down, I mean the system may not be able to work. That's one. Two, if the blood pressure is extremely high, such that it is above the calibration of that blood pressure. We've had cases of over, I think there was a time we had almost getting to 300. The blood pressure couldn't record, it just said error.
Okay.
But when we tried, we tried severally, and then we now use them, and up to 290. You are still we are hearing the beats, and like, wow, 300. And I was like, oh goodness. So if the blood pressure is extremely high, it can show error. And I think that if it's extremely low as well, but usually is when it's extremely high. All right. So when it shows error like that, it's always good to just check with the manual fig. just check with the manual speak. Or first of all, change the battery. If the batteries are changed and it's still showing error, then something is somewhere. Maybe the blood pressure is extremely high, or the other, the reverse may be the case. Sorry, what's the first question? Oh, I've forgotten. Can anybody else? Okay, Paja. Okay, thank you, ma. Yeah, Paja. So, yes, it's not uncommon in those who are hypertensive and those who are diabetic, particularly those who are diabetic. It's what we call peripheral neuropathy. All right. So the nerves begin to also get affected by the effect of the very high blood sugar and very high blood pressure. With high blood pressure, there can be what we call reduced blood supply. Even our nerves, they get blood supply. So if the blood supply of the nerves are compromised, the nerves may begin to feel unwell. That's the way I'm going to put it. For you to understand, there's a pathophysiology to it in medicine, but I don't need to bore you with that. So the nerves begin to feel unwell. The result of feeling unwell of the nerves is what you are having. All right. It's like somebody who is feeling unwell, who is having fever, who begins to shiver, who begins to have chills and rigor. All right. The after effect of the fever is that, chills and rigor. The same thing when the nerves begin to get unwell as a result of persistently elevated blood pressure or diabetes or cholesterol that blocks the blood supply to the nerves or reduces the supply to the nerves will begin to react. All right. And, numbness, peppery sensation, and all of those will be the manifestation. So you can meet with your doctor or get in touch with, a cardiologist. We have many of them, our bosses here. If you if you can meet her, fine. You can meet any of us as well, Dr. Obieli, Dr. Adekolade, Dr. Akeredolu, and all of us, that are here. You can meet any of us. All right, and I'm sure that we'll be able to deal with it for you. I hope that answers your question. Thank you very much. Okay, this is the latest we have gone. I think we need to round up now. I must thank everybody for staying till this time. We do not take it for granted, and very, very robust discussion question that we have raised today. It's our pleasure to have been given this opportunity to host such a program today and to share knowledge with all the wonderful people on the platform. I think at the time we're up to 88, if I'm not mistaken. So really, really appreciate you. Until this time, we still have about 75. Wow, more than 30 minutes above. So we're going to round up now. Prof, I humbly hand over to you, man. You will be the one to give us the closing stuff. Thank you, man, for the
thank
opportunity.
you so much. You have this has been robust, and if I can just steal some words from the audience, I've seen words like enriching, informative, educative, and I've seen a lot of thank you, helpful. And so the objectives of the 1 hour with the cardiologist has been achieved. As a teacher and as a grandmother and a great-grandmother in cardiology, even this might take more than 5 minutes, but I crave everybody's indulgence. For me, I have enjoyed myself on this platform. I have enjoyed the robust questions from the audience. Some are medical, some are non-medical people. Some may be patients, some may not be patients. And they have raised questions that have helped. The information that has been shared is so so wonderful, and And Professor Olusegun Joseph, has, given us a wonderful presentation. The audience and the, platform members are very, very wonderful. I also enjoyed, making contact. I haven't even seen Dr. Bieli or heard about her in the last 1 year, and she just kind of breezed through my mind, and I was even wondering whether she had traveled, because I know that she has a specific interest that they may not be easily obtained in Nigeria. So, Dr. Stevens, we know what we swam through during the COVID. You are our COVID star, and Dr. Keredolu. It's been wonderful meeting up with my colleagues, and Professor Olusegun Joseph keeps calling me his boss. Well, the beautiful thing about being a teacher is after teaching somebody today, in 3 years' time, the person becomes your colleague. And I prefer to call them my colleagues. And I'm very, very proud of them, proud of all of them, and that they are holding their own. And then the joy of a teacher is that, you step aside and then you know that your colleagues, even though you taught them maybe 10 years ago, that they're doing very well and that you can be proud of them. And like I said, as doctors, one of our pledges is to pledge to be lifelong learners. So I also crave the indulgence of the audience. Hypertension is the commonest and most prevalent risk factor. It is so simple that I have even seen, people carrying scales and carrying figs in the market and doing blood pressure. It is so simple to just put that thing around the arm and press a button and a number will come out. It is so simple that, but what do we do with the numbers? What do we do with the numbers? Like I said, I've seen people carrying a fig in the market and taking 50 kobo and 30 kobo from market women. Is it good? Is it bad? That is a story for another day. But it looks so easy. Then it is a silent disease. Then science itself, we the scientists, we have not helped ourselves, because hypertension, high blood pressure, I just forgotten the Yoruba name. Please, my age is catching up with me. Something Riro. Is something Riro? Ejeriro, yes.
Yes.
Ejeriro. So the names are so many, and some people don't. Sometimes I think we even spoke about this yesterday. Professor Olusegun just said that sometimes you ask people, "Do you have hypertension?" They will say no, and then they will say, "But I have high blood pressure." People don't even know that it's the same thing.
Yes.
So science has not even helped. The names are changing every day. The goalposts are changing every day. As recently as 1999 was when WHO agreed that hypertension is 140/90. We were using 160/95 before. So the numbers are changing. America is using 130/80 now, even though the world is trying to resist. So, but the important thing is that, just as we have pledged to be lifelong learners, let everybody be a lifelong learner for themselves. And somebody asked that, why can't we just give one once and for all treatment? It is not possible, but we have not given up hope. So somebody somewhere, an AI is going to be helping with this and that. Is it going to be possible? If we show you the number of pathways that can be disturbed for blood pressure to be high, you will know that it will not be very easy to take one medication and it will go. But it is preventable, it is manageable. If we add all that we have heard from the 4 lectures, the lifestyle, and then seeing your doctors, taking your medications, asking questions, and not agreeing to just take any white thing that somebody has put in an envelope and putting it into your mouth. It is your responsibility to look after yourself via responsible channels, and then to ask questions. Communication is so important. Ask your doctors questions, they would answer. And if your doctors are not answering properly, you may need to change that doctor, because it is a team. It is a teamwork. It is a teamwork where the consequence, where the goal, where the aim is for you to feel better and for you to live to be 95 years old. I love 95 because my mom was hypertensive and she lived to be 95. And
great.
I use her as a big beacon of hope. And just to take one more minute of yours, when I was doing my inaugural lecture, one of the lecturers saw me and say, "Oh, we hear you're doing your inaugural lecture. I'm hypertensive, but please give us hope, give us hope, give us hope. Don't just come with complication. And it is very, very true. And I said, yes. And I proudly took my mother to many, many meetings and churches and said she was hypertensive at age 47. And she, by God's grace, she lived to be 95. So it is doable. It is doable. She was very compliant. Her job was to take the medication. My job was to provide it, And I wasn't her doctor. Members of my team looked after her. So I'll just close with this. And I thank my colleagues for inviting me. I myself enjoyed listening to this lecture. I enjoyed the participation by the audience. And I know that we will not just learn everything in one day. We'll keep interacting. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mary. We really, really appreciate you. Thank you so, so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So we've come to the end of the program. Thank you, everyone. We really appreciate you. Thanks for your patience. This has been the longest, almost 2 hours. But I think it's been worth the while. Really, really appreciate everybody. Thank you, doctors that are around, Dr. Adekolade, Dr. Obieli, Dr. Akeredolu. Thank you so much. All the other medical personnel that on the floor, we thank you. The recording has stopped. Everybody on the platform, we appreciate you. We wish you a very, very healthy week ahead, and God bless you. Have a lovely day. Tomorrow is World Heart Day. Don't miss a beat. God bless your heart. God bless everyone. Thank you.